Right, let's get some straight up facts out here before we talk about the transfer update regarding Jose Cordoba and Brazilian fullback Jefte or Jefte or whatever he is called. So, straight up facts. Rangers need a defensive rebuild. That is a straight up fact. You know what? They need a new right back. They need two new centre halves, and I think a left back as well to cover obviously Ridvan. If we can bring in two new centre halves, pair them possibly with Balogun and Suter and King as backups, bring in a new right back with Dujon Sterling possibly as a backup or Adam Devine as a backup. Then we have options there at the back. We do need to strengthen in those defensive areas. The defense has been, for a long time now, not really looked at. It wasn't addressed last summer. I mean, let's face it, most of Michael Beale's signings last summer were a disaster. But we do need to address the defense. It is a position, like I said, that has not been addressed for a long time. You know, obviously, Philip Helander's gone now. Connor Goldson needs to go. You know, it is an area that has been just sort of left and neglected for a long period. So let's deal with some facts. So it looks like two players that seem to be very much on the radar because of the fact they are continually being linked. They are continually coming up in reports. They're not one of these one-time only clickbait type stories that comes out. You click on it, you read it, you go, oh, we're getting so-and-so. And then about a week later, it's never been heard of ever again. So let's deal with one that was one from January that kind of didn't happen because of a number of factors, including, you know, Apoel Nicosia being difficult about it because he's on loan there. So let's explain the whole Jefte principle. Sounds like some sort of science experiment, doesn't it? The Jefte principle. So Jefte is a Brazilian left back. He is a young lad. He is on loan to Apoel Nicosia in the Cypriot Premier League. He is a Fluminense player. Now, when Fluminense lent him to Apoel Nicosia, they lent him on the fact that there was no break clause in the deal and that for the player to be recalled, to be sold by Fluminense to another team somewhere else in Europe or in the world, Apoel Nicosia would have to agree to that transfer. That's Jefte. That's the guy kissing the ring on the front of that title slide that you saw. So that's where we're at. Now, obviously, that wasn't possible. That didn't happen. He remained with Apoel Nicosia. Now, according to the reports at the end of January, an agreement was then put in place, not a written agreement, but a verbal agreement, which, as I counselled back in January, is a very dodgy thing to have. It's not worth the non-paper it's written on, because it's not written on paper, it's just purely word of mouth. Allegedly, Jefte shook on a deal with Rangers that he would sign for Rangers in the summer. That's where we were up to at the end of January. There was other stories that sort of milled around, coming out of Apoel Nicosia as regards the president there, who is a very tricky character by all accounts. Now, when he was loaned to Apoel, there was a buyout clause put into that thing in terms of a right to buy the player for X amount of money. Now, in January, that was not possible because Apoel Nicosia's finances were in such a state that they were under a transfer embargo by the league and they were not able to buy the player. Therefore, obviously, that gave Rangers the opportunity to go in there and try and purchase the player from under their noses. And like I've explained to you why it couldn't happen. Now, according to the Cypriot media and also the president now of Apoel Nicosia, they are now in a financial position where they can buy players and they have the money in place to purchase Jefte. They have the first dibs on him, in effect, I suppose, like we did with the whole Malik Tillman situation. Now, Fluminense, I suppose, could break this deal, but then you've got a whole sort of legal implications of that, financial implications of that, compensatory implications of that. You know, as we saw with the Malik Tillman deal, where when Tillman we weren't able to buy him, in effect, we were given £1 million compensation, and then obviously 10% of any future sell-on fee, which, you know, did earn us 1.2 million when he went to PSV Eindhoven just recently. So it looks like Apoel are going to put in a bid, which means they have the first right to refusal on the player. Now, Jefte at the moment doesn't appear to be kicking up a stink about this. He doesn't appear to hate his time in Cyprus. Let's face it, it's a nice place to live. But obviously, you know, if he's got real true and ambition, then, you know, Rangers is the club to come to. You know, he's going to get European football, possible trophy lifts, etc., etc. But it does look like this deal is very much on the rocks, and Rangers could do with turning their attention away from Jefte. Look, you know, if the player doesn't have a strong desire to come to the club, then that's fair enough. But then that's not sort of the player you want. If this player does not want to push through this move, which players can do, we know that players can get their own way. We know players and their agents are the ones with all the power these days and can force things through. If Jefte isn't, fully committed to wanting to come to Rangers, then I say that we stop wasting our time with him. We stop messing around and we just we move on to a new target. But it does appear that this deal is firmly on the rocks and may well not happen. That is what I'm hearing at this moment in time. Okay, let's move it along to someone more likely. Now, obviously, just a little bit on Jefte. Obviously, he would cost us £500,000. He's made 33 appearances this season, scoring 3 goals and 4 assists in the Cypriot Premier League. Now, the other one is Jose Cordoba, who is a Panamanian international, currently with Levski Sofia. Now, according to the Bulgarian media, Jose Cordoba has been left out of the latest Levski Sofia squad, which is not a usual thing they would do. He is widely regarded as one of their best players. He's widely regarded as one of the best players in Bulgaria as well, even though he is Panamanian. He is widely regarded as one of the best up-and-coming defenders as well, and he has a market value of around £3 million. It's 3.3 million euro, which is about £3 million. Now, according to reports in Scotland and in Bulgaria, Rangers have moved very close to securing Jose Cordoba as their first summer signing. He is a left-sided centre-back, which is something we need. He is very good he is good in the air. He's quick. He distributes the ball exceptionally well. He's only 6'1", which some people may consider small for a centre half, but that is not something that has affected his career to this point. Cordoba, to me, seems like the sort of player we need. Again, he's very much in that Diamande, Cortez kind of bracket. He's young. He's a player we can develop, a player we can flip and sell on. This is the way we are now going with this in terms of developing this aggressive trading model, which is what the club wanted to bring in to get us up to the likes, obviously, of PSV, of Feyenoord, of Ajax, of Borussia Dortmund, of RB Leipzig, to be generating the sort of funds they do in summer transfer turnover and in terms of squad value as well. Cordoba is someone, obviously, is a very Niels Koppen type target. If you look back across Koppen's record with PSV Eindhoven, the sorts of players that he brought in, the Langs, the Sibaris, the Veermans, etc., Cordoba is very much in that kind of mold. Like I said, he looks a good player. He looks a quality player. Now, what's reassuring is that it seems that Rangers are genuinely taking seriously on the back of that comment that was made by Philippe Clement the other day in his presser as regards the rebuild. And just to remind you of that comment, this is what he says. He says, every manager, if he needs a rebuild, he wants more money. The club know how it is how necessary it is. That's the key line in that statement. The club know how necessary it is. It's not only recruitment in other departments. We need to make good decisions because we can't have so many injuries. It's quite clear that the club are now taking seriously what we need to do, that we do need to strengthen. Now, obviously, we cannot shop in the big boy markets. We cannot be looking to splash 10, 15, 20 million pound on players. That is not the markets we can shop in. We just are not of that financial status at this present moment in time and may never be again. So paying, 3 million here, 500,000 there, 1.5 million, 2.5, 4, 5, even up to 7 million, I think is the sort of ceiling of our abilities this summer. It appears that there will be money used. Obviously, there's 1.2 million coming up from the Tillman deal. That is one thing. There will be obviously wages freed up as players leave. Also, rumours obviously of transfer bids for our players. Some of our players, the whole El Etifak interested in Goldson and Tavernier refuses to go away. And I think if we can get up to 5 million for the pair, I think that'll be a great move by the club. This is encouraging. Cordoba looks good. Jefte, I think we have to park and perhaps move on to a new target. Who that is, I don't know. I don't have a scouting network that stretches all across the world. Well, guys, let me know what you think of these two stories as regards to players. Excited by Cordoba. Hope that gets over the line as soon as possible. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Please obviously smash the sub, help the channel to keep on growing. And as always, on the way out, 2 things for me. 1, smash the like. It helps defeat the evil algorithm. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.